Okay, so now let's get started with the A section here. And what you're going to notice, and what we're going to do here is, it's going to be basically triadic based in the right hand, right? And then you're going to see a simple right hand and a simple left hand. And I'm going to show you through the video and through the lesson how we can kind of break up that left hand and right hand to create, you know, a fuller arrangement, right? But the first thing is to try and do something easy so that if all you know is triads, you still know how to be able to get into the song and be able to play it. Like I said in the introduction, there's not going to be any melody. This is going to be more like you're going to be accompanying yourself while singing. Don't worry, I'm not going to be singing. You know, someone else while they're singing or playing the melody, okay? If you're not a singer, you can hum the melody along with you, all right? Or you might even have the melody going on in your mind. So real quickly about that, having that melody going on inside your head is a great way of keeping your place in the song as well, okay? All right, so we start, and then what's written out here, there's music for it obviously, and what's written out can be played down an octave. The right hand can be played down an octave if you want, right? It's written up here, but really you could play it down here. So the first chord is B flat major 7. If we were to reduce that down to a triad, it would just be our basic B flat major triad. Okay, that's first inversion, second inversion, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to voice this chord differently, all right, than just a plain old triad using the root, the third, and the fifth. All right? Now, voicing chords is basically how do you break up the notes of the chord. That's basically what voicing is. So this right here would be different voicings, you know? Different voicings for my B flat major triad. Root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position, okay? So now, on this, what we're going to do is oftentimes we try and bring the, let's see, how can I say this? We are aware of what's going on in the melody, okay? So the melodies, right? So it's like, those are the notes of the melody there, okay, and that's all I'm going to be playing on the melody. So now here, if I play just a basic B flat major triad, if I'm playing the melody down here, I'm just going to play it just so you can hear it. Normally I wouldn't play the melody down there. Let me do this. Hear that? Hear how dissonant that is? So here we wouldn't want to play just a B flat major triad. We really want to bring that major 7th into the chord because that's what's going on in the melody. Let me pause for a second and give you a nice little tip here. Oftentimes when you see things like, you know, the fourth chord in is going to say D plus. That means D7 or a D augmented triad. Basically it means sharp 5. The fifth is sharped. Okay? When you see that in a chord symbol, especially in rock pop stuff, I can almost guarantee that that's because the melody is going to hit that note. So that means that the melody isn't going to be a regular A natural, it's going to be a sharp, okay? Okay, it's going to be a sharp 5. We'll get to that when we get to that chord, okay? But in this one, B flat major 7, exactly the same thing is going on. They're saying B flat major 7 for a reason. Not just to get a nice sound of the major 7th, but because that's what's going on in the melody. So that's why you should take a look at your chord symbols. They're very, very important in terms of giving you a clue as to what's going on in the melody. All right, so what we do here is instead of playing B flat major triad, I put the 7th in there. I put the major 7th in there. Notice I'm just replacing the root with the major 7th. Why? Because what am I going to do in my left hand? I'm going to play the root down here. Now, if I want to play this just basic rock, pop kind of sound, I could keep octaves in my left hand. So it could be B flat major 7, B flat 7, B flat, and a D7, okay? Don't worry about those other chords. We'll get to those in a second. So B flat major 7, I could just keep plain old B flat and B flat. Or what I can do is put the major 7th in here as well. That's normally what I do. If I wanted to fill out the chord a little bit more, I could throw in the 5th if I want. That's pretty full right there. You know, sometimes I can even add in the 9th, which is the C. Okay? The problem though is sometimes when you start adding in more of those tensions, it starts to take away from the flavor and feel of the song. So you want to be careful about that. Listen for that. You know, do you like that sound or you like that sound better? It's completely up to you, right? This is where I call, like, you can, when I say dial it in, you can dial in more tension, or you could kind of, you know, dial it back and say, nah, I kind of like it like that. Or I even just like that. Right? But the point is that I'm playing that major 7th up here, since that's in my melody. So I have B flat major 7, and then it goes to B flat dominant 7th, which remember, dominant 7th is just down a half step from that major 7th. So again, just real quickly on my 7th chords, if I want to create a major 7th, I go down a half step from the root. If I want to create a dominant 7th chord, I go down a whole step from that root. So, now I go down to my E flat major 7. Did the same exact thing here as well. Okay, what did I do? So I have, there would be my E flat major triad in first inversion. Okay, and all I did was, instead of playing the root, since I'm going to play the root down here, I play the major 7th. Okay, and I keep the major 7th in here as well. I could also bring in the 5th. I could also do something like that, where it's like root 5 root, and it gives a real big, powerful root down there. Okay, you can do that up here. Yeah, you got that real power sound in the left hand. Really depends, once again, how jazzy you want it to be, how powerful you want it to be. If you want it to be more jazzy, then do the 7th like I'm doing. Okay? If you want it to be more rock power, then just do the root 5 roots. Okay? And now when we get to the D augmented, remember a D augmented is a D major triad with a sharp 5. Okay? So you're sharpening the 5th. So all I did was moving the chords around. So notice, if I were to play the root 5 root down here, listen to what the root 5 root sounds like with this. Hear a problem? Yeah. So when you see a sharp 5, you got to be very careful about what you're doing in the left hand with your 5th. Okay? So that's where you probably do something like that, or just leave out that 5th altogether. That, or do what I wrote. Put the 7th in there. So we have from the beginning. And now, right now I have it written as just plain old half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So now, that sounds kind of, a little bit boring. Let me just put on a quick little style here for you, a drum style. Not really not the best. No, just trying to find a little rock beat here. Okay, so now this is 16 beat, number 15. This is on I have a DGX 640, by the way. This is a Yamaha DGX 640. And it's just a regular 16 beat. This beat, we have other beats in the site that you can take a look at, the jam tracks. Just look for like a rock or 16th note, that kind of stuff. You can utilize something like that. All right, so it's pretty simple. In fact, what I'll do is I'll try and pull this off the video, so I'm just going to let it play for a minute. All right. So now, notice what I can do with the rhythm. So now what I'm doing is that, and also I can kind of change the voice around as well. If I did something like, not that. Even that. Listen to that with the beat. How it changes the whole feel. This would sound cooler. Now the question is, Willie, what are you doing there? Let me get back to my piano sound. What are you doing there chord-wise? Well, if you look at what I'm doing, I'm playing just the notes from the chord. I am not adding any extra note than what is written here, okay? Guaranteed. But I'm breaking up those notes. So, you see how I add a little bit of rhythm in there? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. See how I did that in anticipation? So the and of 4, I hit that E flat major 7 chord. And I'm actually going to just bring the tempo a little bit slower for you. I can anticipate that one as well. So 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. This is what I can do. Now here, this is what I want you to do. I want you to just watch the virtual keyboard. So this is the top notes of the chord, right? You get the root down here. Watch what I'm doing. 1, 2, sorry, I put the C in there. Now, one of the reasons I did not write this out is because often I want you to first of all start with your basic chords. Okay, so if you're more of a beginner, then just like this alone, that's enough. Okay, but if you're more advanced, intermediate to advanced, you want to start to get some more of these sounds in here. I want you to have like just a basic recipe, which is the chord, the notes of the chord there. Now, if you start to see all these rhythms written out, you're not going to get that feel. All right, it's going to be very difficult for you to get that feel because it's going to be so focused on reading the notes. I know this because I've worked with literally thousands of students and hundreds of students live, one-on-one, and I see this all the time. It's like, you know, they're looking at the music and they get focused right in on the music. Okay. In fact, one of those students is my sister. I'm teaching my sister how to play piano. And you know, it's one thing she does. Folks, like she's good. She reads the music, but then it's like she stays right on that music. So this is where you get like, boom, turn the music around. Now start to feel that beat. This is where like playing along with the drum sound would be good, and I'll make sure that you have, you know, I'm going to take this drum beat that I'm working with right now, and I'll put it on the site for you. Okay, so look for this in the jam track section as well. Okay, so let's just go ahead and just kind of like see what we can do, you know, kind of play around with these 4 chords and change, you know, how you're starting. So that's kind of a cool sound. You know, you could check out the Funkadiddles lesson or also the Funky Piano to start to get some of that right hand, left hand stuff. But check this out. See how I'm going thumb to the rest of the chord? I got a lot of students on the site that they're interested in accompanying themselves while they sing, or they're interested in accompanying others. That's the secret sauce right there, is how you break up the notes of the chord, okay? So you're breaking it up rhythmically. So logic holds, the more rhythms you know, the more rhythms you feel, then the better you're going to be at being able to break up these chords. So obviously the Mastering Rhythms, Volume 1, Volume 2, those lessons, extremely important. The funkadiddles lesson, the funky piano is good if you want to get that funky kind of stuff going on, okay? So it's really important that you have your rhythmic vocabulary, because if we look at this in terms of note-wise, I'm not doing anything different note-wise. When we're talking fills, like what am I doing fills? These are all exactly the same notes that I have written there as just plain old half notes. So there's no secret as to, okay, well, how do I break this up? You know what? Start with a very simple pattern. Start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now what you're doing here is you're breaking up the low note to the rest of the chord. So the bass note to the rest of the chord. Bass note, 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 rest of the chord. Okay? Once you can do that, then try doing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Once you can do that, then you can try 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4. So see how I just broke it up into an arpeggio. Then you could try. See how then I could start to mess around with that. If you could do those three where you do bum, 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 you know, those three variations I just went through, and you got those real solid, then the other ones are going to start to creep into your playing almost naturally. I've also seen this with students as well. As long as you start with something very structured from the beginning, get it down, get the structure. You don't have to stay within that structure. You'll naturally start to put something else in there, put something a little bit different in there, and be like, wow, that's cool, okay? All right, so that was the first two measures. We're going to move on to the rest of the song, so I'll see you in the next chapter.